It was great. I'm sure everybody else's must have been pretty good as well. So tonight, in the world of Rotary International, October is known as Vocation Month. As Rotarians, we have dual responsibility of representing our vocation within our clubs, as well as demonstrating the ideals of Rotary high ethical standards in the workplace. The essence of vocational service is the importance of promoting the opportunity to contribute to one's vocational talents to address the problems and needs of society. The objective of the recognition is to distinguish individuals or groups who have embodied the characteristics of Rotary's official motto, service above self. We look to the honorees that have demonstrated excellence in his or her vocation and have performed community service that results in long-lasting value. Programs which support the elderly, the less fortunate, the environment, and most importantly, our youth and future leaders of our communities. To be a Rotarian, we are expected to believe and respect Rotary's four-way test, a statement of business and professional ethics. As an honoree of the recognition, they too must comply with the test. A list of 4 direct questions, and this is the banner which Rotary goes by. If you'll all repeat with us the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Come on, you guys can do better. It's up here, you know. Anyway, second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? In keeping with the ideal, the annual vocational and community service recognition program was introduced in 1996. Anyway, now that's 24 years since then. Gary Luis, a Rotarian and career facilitator at Southwood Regional School, felt it was important to identify those people or groups in our community that excelled in their chosen field and would also serve as role models for students. When Rotary expressed a similar interest through our Community Service Committee, a mutual goal was achieved. It is no accident that our choices were often involved in community service. To date, we have recognized, and this is kind of a big year for us, this will be the 80th people that have been recognized by Southwick Rotary as community people to look up to and have contributed to their community. And 6 nonprofit organizations or groups from Southwick. On the back of our program that you have in front of you is a list of recognitions from the beginning. We all know that there are many more good, outstanding individuals or groups in the community that may be nominated as a result of their excellence in vocation and community service. If you have someone that you would like to nominate for a future program, please let us know and their achievements. Also, if you are a like-minded person who believes in giving back to your community, Rotary would love to have you join us. We meet most Wednesdays at Norris. Thank you, Jen. And Jen does a great job for us, giving us food and a great evening to share the things that we want to do as servants of the community of Southwick. Please feel free to join us and share in the satisfaction we feel on nights like this to honor people who have done great things for Southwick. Join us in doing good for our community of Southwick, and the door's open for anyone who wants to join Rotary. We'd love to have you. I want to turn this over now to Ellen Miles, who will introduce us to the recipients this evening.
Thank you, Mike. Gotta find my notes here. Good evening. Can you hear me? She keeps going. Is that better? Okay, thank you. Just a week ago, Reader Raves selected Southwick as the best town to live in the year 2020. Something that we should all be proud of. But how did this happen? In my opinion, it is because our people. People who work hard, people who take time to volunteer and make significant contributions to the community that improve our quality of life. We've honored many people, and as Mike said, today we have honored over 80 individuals and 6 nonprofits. As we honor our first recipient, Chief Russ Anderson, he is to be congratulated on his 42 years of service.
Battery died.
Talk loud, Alan.
Everyone have a good evening.
Just talk loud.
Very soft-spoken. I don't think anybody's going to hear me. Can you hear me back there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right, let's go on. He has it over there. Thank you. As we honor our first recipient, Chief Russ Anderson, he is to be congratulated on his 42 years of service as a first responder. I believe 29 years of this service was volunteer, leading up to his full-time responsibility as a chief. Here we go. He is also a third-generation firefighter, as is his brother Rich. It takes a special person to manage a day-to-day department that consists of about 50 volunteers. This person is also expected to be proactive and add resources and programs to the mix and ensure the safety of our town. Rich, would you like to come up and speak about your brother and find out about the things you don't know about?
Okay. Everybody hear me back there? Let me apologize in advance because what I'm trying to do here is kind of summarize 40 years of what Russ has done. It's not easy. In a volunteer fire service, some of the volunteers are back there in the corner. It's every day stuff goes on, every day. So to go through 40 years of it, I pick out bits and pieces, but and I could stand up here for 4 hours.
That's okay.
So I'll try to take you through some of it. I may have a little problem with this part of it, but my memory is not as good as it used to be, and stuff gets mushed together after 40 years, The exact time stuff happened may not be the same, but whatever. You'll get the general idea. So anyway, one day in 1977, Dad, Russ's dad, came home from the station and asked Russ and I if we'd be interested in joining the fire department. They were having a recruitment drive. Chief Johnson at the time was running it, and they're looking for, especially the members, to see if they had any sons that wanted to join. So we both thought about it, and we had been involved in the department for years at that time, carnivals, parades, you name it. And we'd always been referred to as Elwood's son. my father's first name. So we thought about it. We really wanted to join this bunch of guys. So anyway, we did. And let me just take a second. I don't know if it means anything to you, Russ, but when we said yes, we'd join, no conception in the world of ever both of us becoming chief. It was just unbelievable. But anyway, we did. We both said yes. As most of you know, our grandfather, Harold Anderson, was a charter member of the department. He was on until our father came back from the war in '44. He joined. Harold went back to the farm. My dad stayed on, ended up deputy chief, retired in 1988. Then he went on to be commissioner for several years. So Russ began his firefighting career the same day I did. We joined a new group of firefighters. 4 of us came out at the same time. Paul Johnson, back there. His dad was chief. Donnie Keene ended up marrying Paul's sister, but that's a whole other story. Myself and Russ, we all came on the same day. So we began the Monday night drills, and then they gave us keys to the station. So then it became Monday and a couple nights during the week. Then it became Monday, a couple nights during the week and Saturday, and then Sunday. And then if we had a spare minute, that's where we were. So the girlfriends, wives, parents, everybody, they're looking for us. They knew where we were. Not hard to find. Stuff that went on, I remember one thing as I was going through this, I told my wife at the time, about 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, I said, I'm going to the dump. So I threw the stuff in the car and off I went. That was a Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, I came back Sunday afternoon. That's just the way stuff went. Fire, calls, whatever, stuff happens. So, years go on, various things happen with jobs, families, and all it does. By families, I mean both. Volunteer firefighters, and I know this group should know that. Volunteer firefighters have 2 families. One at home, one at the station. And the priorities change. I remember telling my wife that I was married to the fire department before I married her. I'm divorced now. So, the years went by, and somehow Russ was promoted to lieutenant, and then a few years later to captain. His favorite thing was training. That was his little niche. He was interested in it, and he was damn good at it. So after the retirement of Deputy Chief Dean Sleeper, who was the existing training officer, and who had taught us an awful lot, Russ became a training officer. Now, you all not dealing with this don't understand that being a training officer for 50 people is not easy. You're trying to train them how to fight fire, but to do it safely, do it efficiently. What it means is hours. Hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. Preparation, so that when that training experience happens, it's a good one. And those hundreds of hours, of course, were unpaid. That's all done in his spare time. You'll hear that more. Someone floated the idea of a new station. It might have been him. So now research has got to be done. How do you build a station? Where do you build it? A million different things. So he started working on that in the background. And by that time, I think I was deputy and Don was chief. So he'd update us as he went. And we had no training space. You know, the trucks were being parked out in the bus garage. We pushed out there because it was all we could go. The only place we could go. We had no training. We had no offices. We had no phones. We had nothing. I think we had one chair. But so we used the Firemen's Association building they had built as best we could because we had nothing else. So anyway, times were busy in Southwood. Through this period, somewhere in this period, there was the Crooker phase. I know there's a table right there that knows all about it. What it meant for the fire department was a lot of arson fires, building fires. What it meant for the police department was a whole other thing, and how they got through it, I don't know. But what was done to them and their families was just absolutely unbelievable restraint on the part of the police department during that time. I know a little bit of it. There's a lot more. So anyway, what it meant for the police or the fire department, we saw during this whole time that we needed some arson investigation, some fire cause determination investigation. At the time, we relied on the state fire marshal's office because most the volunteer fire departments, they don't have an arson squad that can respond. So the state fire marshal's office, through the state police, provide a trooper. At that time, it was Mikey Mazza. Still is, and there were several others. But anyway, Russ developed a rapport with Mike and with the state police to start doing this. Because what would happen is we'd have a fire at night, and we'd get all of we're required if there's someone injured or various different things with arson to call the state fire marshal's office. Well, you call them at night, they say, okay, we'll be out there at 10 in the morning to start the investigation. Well, 10 in the morning, we're all at work. So there were some issues there. So anyway, Russ, a bunch of us went to arson schools, but Russ really took that on and became an investigator. So that took, more hours of training, unbelievable. So anyway, at the time, Southwick now is growing from a house, or a town where there's a new house being built somewhere. And it went to, now there's a street being built, full of new houses. We just went kind of boom. Well, all that requires inspections, requires, all the stuff that goes with it, permits, that whole thing. So we had to up that whole deal. Russ took that on. The rest of us kind of sat there with their feet on the desk, but anyway. So that was going on, the fire code inspections and all that stuff went on. Again, hours and hours of spare time. That's when it got done. We had no permanent people at that time. So stuff happens between fires. That's all that we're talking about, but you also have to go to fires too. So one that sticks out in all of our minds is one up on South Loomis Street, where we had a major building fire going on, and there was a collapse on the east side, and Russ and 3 other firefighters got hit with a large beam. One of the guys would probably be dead today if his helmet, which was a good helmet, thank God, ended up in pieces, protected his head. He wouldn't be with us anymore. But there was 4 people hurt, and that just shows you the stuff that's going to go on. That's why you have to train. It's all tied in. It's all tied in. So once that happened, Russ always seemed to be involved in gear purchasing. When you go through something like that, that's what happens. Now, Russ, a little side note, and I can tell you how Russ's mind works.
Glad you got it.
A couple of wines. So. We used to go to Saturday night parades for years and years and years and years. And there was one in Ellington. You remember this one? Yeah, you will. Sure. So we used to go down to Ellington. It's a beautiful little town in Connecticut. We go there for the parade, and as you march down the parade route, there was this one house that was having a house party every year. And when we got there, they'd come out and they'd give us shrimp. And we stood there, for a few minutes, and then off we go. So we did this. This happened for years. So now all of a sudden, our Firemen's Association changes our date of our carnival, where it's going to coincide with the Ellington parade and carnival. So we weren't going to be going the next year or after that. So last year, Russ comes up with the idea we're going to give them a plaque. So anyway, that year we ran down or walked down the street, and when they came out to give us the shrimp, we stopped, and Russ presented them to the family with a plaque. I'm sure they still have it in a prominent place. I think they're crying. But that's how he works. And you can see that in the other things he's accomplished over the years. So momentum grew for the building of the new station. It had to be designed because we were going from what we had, which was 3 bays of equipment and like a chairs. So it had to be that to what you see today. So that again is hours and hours and hours and hours, going around looking at other stations, all that stuff. So it gets funded. Well, let me go back a second. Most of you probably don't realize, when we decided we needed a new station, from the time we realized it, and everybody agreed, to the time we moved in, it was 14 years. This is not an overnight thing. So now the station gets funded. The selectmen had gone to work, there was various other departments that needed their quarters filled up. And so the selectmen designed a process where all 4 of us would be taken care of. So that was great. And so now they appoint an architect. Somebody's got to work with the architect. Okay, off he goes. More hours, more time. But it would serve him well later. So the station gets built. Somehow, as we cut and shifted money around and transferred things to try to get the best thing we could, it got built with a state-of-the-art, second-to-none training room. Now training was possible not only for our people, but all the towns around us that we depend on for mutual aid and they depend on us, now we could have trained together. That was a big step forward. So, forever, we've always needed EMTs. So at this time we started, because now we got a new training room, we got EMT classes. Have them right here. We used to go to town for all that. So we started having an EMT class. And 2 nights a week, Saturday for several months. So Russ wasn't involved in EMS, but he started spending a lot of time in the class. I thought he was just protecting his training room. But and I noticed he seemed to take a liking to one of the students. Next thing I knew...
No ethics issues here.
No. So next thing I knew, they're together all the time. What's up with this? Well, I'm going through this kind of quick, but on July 1, 2006, Russ and Lisa eloped, get married at a fire station down Eastern Mass, on Berryport. Get married by the fire department chaplain. So now they're married. So now what did that make Russ? Very happy. Very happy. I think he married his best friend. He continues to this day. No crying. So while all this was going on, and again, this is months and years, all this is going on in some of his spare time, which apparently he had a lot of, he noticed an ad for fire chief in town Granby, Mass. So on a lark, he just threw in an application, said, what the heck? And fast forward several months, interviews, rigorous assessment process, and guess who they got hired? All right, so now he's moving to Granby to a new house with his new wife, but he's got the easy part. Chief Morris and I now have to backfill all Russ's duties. That was not easy. So in Granby, unknown to him, he was walking into a hornet's nest of issues. Several problems, none of them easy fixes. But he worked through them, got the department back on track, and Granby's personnel were top notch. One issue was their station, long outgrown, just like it was here when we built it. So with the help of those same good personnel in Granby, they built a whole new station out there. They bought some trucks and all this stuff too. And the station had a training room. Also in Granby, he had bought a new house in Lisa. When he wasn't doing anything at the fire station, he turned that in from a single family into a double family and moved Lisa's parents, aging parents, in there. So now he had both of them all in one place, and Lisa worked, taking care of them during the day. That was pretty good. So while he was chief in Granby, I got a couple of bullets here. I'm sure there was 100 more, but I don't know how much time we got here. He became an emergency medical technician. For those of you who don't know, that's a year. By the time you get done, it's a year. He earned his Massachusetts Chief Officer certification. That's not an easy thing. Completed his Fire Service Commission credentialing. That's credentialing is when you have to document your training, your experience to a certain level. Of course, he did. Probably took him a couple minutes to do that. He was on several regional safety committees. He served on the board of directors for No Fires. That's a juvenile fire center intervention program for the Northwestern District Attorney's Office. So then, fast forward, spring of 2016, the current existing fire chief here in Southwick at the time, is a wonderful, wonderful guy. He got old. Smitty, come on.
Lieutenant.
Never stop. Never stop. So he pretty much got old and they were going to put him out the pasture. So the selectmen became a national search process. Was debated about it, should I put in for it? Should I stay in Granby? They've accomplished so much, everything's cool. But he submitted an application, coming back to his hometown, I'm sure it was a big role. Guess what? He gets hired. So he comes back and he buys a house from TJ of all people. Okay, still working through that one. So when he got the job, Carl designed a comprehensive transition plan for me to turn over the department to Russ. It was really good on paper. Yeah. But we shortened it up a little bit. He can probably tell you the details. But I kind of just threw him the keys and he took over. So since his appointment in 2016, only 2.5 years ago? Whatever. He secured over $200,000 in grants, replacing air packs, that's our breathing devices for firefighters, and the air filling station. Now, when we bought the station, or built the station, we had a filling equipment to fill the air pack bottles, but it was a used one. We were trying to save money at the time. So that kind of saw its day. So we got that all replaced. Jaws of Life, unfortunately, we use those in Southwick often. So got those all replaced. Implemented an apparatus replacement program, replacing engine 1 and ladder 1. Ladder 1 reaches 30 years. Once these things reach the 30 years, they're not certifiable anymore. So that's all replaced. Redesigned the compensation package for fire and EMS during nighttime coverage. One of 7 departments recognized by the Department of Fire Services for its efforts in prevention and education in the schools, seniors, and the community. Lisa was most of that. Met increased staffing demands through addition of career staffing. That's just something that self-grows. We need to move in that direction. Transitioning the department from basic life support to advanced life support with the addition of paramedics. That's something I was trying to do. We got it done with the deputy's help. So the deputy got it done with his help. I don't know, one of the two. Yeah. Served first vice president of both Western Mass Chiefs and Hampden County Fire Chiefs Association. Represents District 11 on the board of directors of Fire Chiefs of Massachusetts. Region 4 coordinator for the State Fire and Ambulance Task Force. Not bad, he's only been here 3 years. I'll digress a second. The fire chief's job is 24/7. You don't realize what you're into until you get into it. So you have to pin the badge on it. You're responsible for 50 people every day, no matter what they do. Every day they get into potentially life-threatening and life-saving situations. It's not easy. Every time you hear a siren, trained them? Has it prepared them? What's going on? Who's on duty? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And the police chiefs are the same. It's not an easy thing. So I'm thinking, and I could have doubled or tripled this. Yeah. So I'm thinking, Chief Russ Anderson has accomplished more in his spare time than most chiefs do in lifetime. He hasn't done bad during his paid time either. I know when I became chief here, Russ was already chief in Granby. Now, I could have gone to a lot of areas, very good chief. But I really didn't. I just called him. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. The town of Celtic is very lucky to have him. It's, I don't know, Russ, why don't you come on up?
I only have a 4-hour speech. No,
We're out of here.
this whole thing's a little humbling, really. Not retired yet. I still got a few more years. I just want to acknowledge the firefighters in the back row here, way in the back. Certainly humbling is a group from Granby firefighters and the director of, well, council on agent of Belchertown was Granby at the time, because we had a great relationship working with the seniors and stuff. But to see you folks here is truly humbling. Thank you. Family who was all the wise ass comments I like. But it wouldn't be any other way. You know, I'm fortunate. I got the greatest job in the world. And when you start talking about community and what the Rotary does what we do in a lot of ways. And if you're in the fabric of the community and you're trying to do the best you can, obviously we deal with some horrible times and we try to make the best of it, just like the police do. It's a tough job sometimes, but it's also the most rewarding as well. And there's time and time again, we see things that are so bad that are so rewarding. And it sounds kind of strange, but I'm sure that the Brothers in Blue can also attest to the same thing. And to know that you can help, and to know that you're there to provide some service to them at a horrible time in their life is a selfish reward that we all pay. And that's why we're in the job. The Brothers in Blue, we fun with each other, we joke with each other, but we're there together, and it's a team, and we thank you. Our jobs cross paths so many times now. It's crazy. When I first got in this business, like they said 42 years ago, Rick talked about, oh, why did we join? Well, he forgot the part about there was beer in the soda machine. And we've come a long way from that, and truly, whether you're a call force or whether your career, it's a true profession, certifications, it's changed a lot in 40 years, obviously. But with that said, when I first started, there was no hazmat, there was no hazardous material, so I guess we just drank and smelled and all the crap that's out there. When we got in this business, there was no active shooters, there was none of that with our schools and our issues. We work with the schools now all the time to try to train and practice for some of that stuff. The world will always change. Emergency services will always be part of the match. Shut your damn phone off. And I just, again, I'm honored today to be recognized for that. That's great. Congratulations to the other recipients. Go Yellow Team. Thank you.
This is for Chief Russ Anderson, Southwick Fire Department, in appreciation of your dedication and outstanding service to the community. Service above self.
I think I'm going to be here until midnight. That was a good story, though. Great. Our next recipient, who may many of you probably only know her by her name, has spent about 20 years of service in our fine town. Sorry about that. So who is Susan Kohansky? Born Susan Mary on September 6, 1963, to Tony and Hank Kohansky in a Michigan city known as Escanaba, which is located 333 miles straight north of Chicago via Route 41. If you've lived there, you are a Yooper. Yoopers are known to be extremely friendly and welcoming people and make anyone feel at ease. Susan graduated in 1981 from Bart Harris High School and was a top academic student. Yes, she was the valedictorian. Wow, right? Okay, with a grade point average of 3.811. It would have been a 4.0 if it hadn't been for driver's ed and typing. After high school, she continued her education at Badenoch. Is that how you say it? Badenoch Community College. After college, she left the Yooper country for Boston for the summer, never to go home. Is that true, Tony? Okay. Her dream was to enroll in the Boston Architectural Center to expand her skills in design. It did not work out quite the way she planned. However, using pencils and slide rule skills she learned in high school and college, she became a self-taught kitchen and bath designer. After a few years, Susan relocated to Western Mass and worked for Kitchens by Herzenberg for 25 years. At this time, she started her own design business known as Susan Kohansky, CKD. In addition to her amazing design skills, she holds a construction supervisor's certificate from the Commonwealth. And if need be, by the way, Reg Anderson, I don't know where you are, she could build a fire station.
Where was she?
Right here in Southwick at the time, I think, I don't know. She's a twice recipient of the CKD contest for excellence in kitchen design sponsored by the Maytag Corporation and Wilson Art. By the way, if you have the opportunity to see her work, you will want to go home immediately and update your kitchen. With regards to community service, Susan has chaired the Southwick Cultural Council for 16 years. From the start, she was diligent in making sure that the fine art show created in 1998 would continue to thrive. She strongly believes cultural activities promote excellence, education, diversity by including the arts, humanities, and sciences that foster a rich cultural life for our community. The local show is known to be one of the best art venues in northern Connecticut and western Massachusetts. In addition to fine art and photography, the show now includes musical performances, demonstrations, dance, pottery, woodworking, and more. With regards to other programs, the council has offered experiences such as making limoncello. Remember that? A grain alcohol you couldn't buy in Massachusetts. I remember that. Puzzle contests and travel programs. The council also introduced a theater group known as Southwick on Stage and held several live theater performances, casting local actors, community civic leaders, and active residents. Susan has been a Rotarian for 16 years. And as a member, she truly addresses the problems and needs of our community through the Rotary organization. Due to a donation of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation in her name, Susan became a Paul Harris Fellow. She has served as treasurer for the last 6 years and keeps track of our money, right? Okay. Club expenses, fundraising, and the financial information as required. She has served on the Vocational Community Service Committee and is on the board of directors. One of Susan's greatest gifts as a Yooper was experience as she led the Adopt a Highway project with enthusiasm and a big smile. She is our trash queen. After all, who wants to get up at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning and venture out to pick up trash along College Highway? She made it good for us. Families are her most important asset. Her boys are number one. She's been married to Dennis Clark for 22 years and is loved dearly by her dog Lucky, and kitty Oscar. She has loving parents who relocated from Michigan to Southwick about 8 years ago to be closer to the family. Her brother Paul, who's here tonight, who also left Escanaba a couple years prior to Susan, has made his home in Westfield. Any given Sunday, if you stop by Susan's home, you'll find family, copious amounts of food and beverages, and a warm welcome. Very true. She is friends to everyone. With all these wonderful contributions and superior excellence, maybe Susan will consider building a special club house for Rotary at a low cost. You are the best, Susan Pahansy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ellen. That was quite kind. And thank you, Rotary, for nominating me and voting to honor me with this award. And I guess what I have to say about both Cultural Council and Rotary, what's made this such a seamless and easy adventure is that both Cultural Council and Rotary, everybody works as a team. It's not just one or two people doing everything. It's a very much a group effort. And it's it makes it fun. What could be a job becomes fun. And I'd also like to thank my dear husband, Dennis, for putting up with all the little tasks I put him up to. Can you make me a poster in 40 minutes because I forgot to tell you? So that kind of thing, that can happen. So anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, as we move on, Alan Slessor. I'm sorry. In addition to his full-time responsibilities as a professional town planner who improves his town in the areas of development, historical, conservation, and architecture, while supporting business and jobs is very commendable. As a volunteer, Alan was an athletic coach for 16 years. Remember, a good athlete requires superior direction and a good education to form their future. I'd like to invite Dennis Clark. Come forward.
Thank you, Ellen. I'd like to thank the Rotary for this wonderful event and all the other wonderful events they put on during the year, and for giving me this fantastic award. I really appreciate it. Not for me. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I'd really like to thank Joe Didi and Alan's wife for getting Alan involved in this project, this endeavor. I've only known Alan for 7 years, short 7 years, worked with him, but he's been a pleasure to work with. This man has helped me every single day for the last 7 years, no matter what the issue is, planning, conservation. Just people come in that are upset, he's able to calm them down and to get them to understand that we're out there to help them. Alan's probably the most helpful person I've ever met in my life. He just loves helping people. And I'm glad he decided not to go with his career of a professional bowler. It was one of his first things, is race car driver, pilot, engineer, amongst just a few of the things that he's done in his life. Because I've only known him for 7 years, but it's been a real pleasure to work with him at Town Hall. And almost every week, somebody will come in and say, Alan, oh yeah, he coached my daughter, he coached my son. And he knows so many people in this town that he's helped out. I was sticking my neck out when I decided to nominate him for this award because I didn't want to lose him as a friend. I know he's such a humble person. And he doesn't like to take any accolades or any kind of acknowledgement for what he's done, but he absolutely deserves it. I'm gonna have his daughter speak for him. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kayla and Darcy, Alan's daughters.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Darcy Saltmarsh, and I'm Kayla Slessler. And no, we are not twins, but we are Alan Slessler's daughters. At the time, back in the early 90s, I'm pretty sure it felt like torture having our dad as our coach. But looking back now, we realize we are two of the luckiest girls. Our dad coached us from instructional through the rec center and on to travel teams in soccer, basketball, and softball. If they needed a coach, he did it. If someone needed a ride, that minivan picked them up. Not only was he a coach, he was a role model and a second dad to most of our teammates. He has the patience of a saint and a heart of gold. Not only did he teach us how to play sports, he taught and instilled in us and our fellow athletes how to be team players, persevere, and to always have fun. We grew up at the rec center. The snack shack, the ball field often fed us dinner. Those hot dogs, teeny drinks, and Bazooka Joe gums were our entertainment as we watched our dad ump baseball games and softball games. All his time spent with us, coaching us, providing support and guidance on and off the field has shaped us into the people we are today. Congratulations on being the recipient of this award, Dad. It's well deserved. Don't worry, Southwick, you can still find our dad on the sidelines. Now you can find him cheering for his grandkids. Congratulations, Dad.
I would like to thank you for this award. It's pretty humbling. We were a resident of Southwick for the 29 years. And in those 29 years, the girls' programs were lacking in sports. So with the help of many other dedicated individuals, coaches, and families, we were able to start travel teams both for softball, basketball, and soccer. I retired after 37 years as a municipal engineer. Mr. Didi and my wife would not allow me to retire. And I've had the privilege of working for the town of Southwick for the past 7 years with a lot of dedicated individuals. Thank you very much.
Our final recipient tonight is Officer Michael Taggart. From what I understand, all police officers have a major responsibility for safety in our town and community. But it seems like Officer Taggart has a very special responsibility as a school resource officer. He is the main security arm for our school system. His job is far more expansive than simply policing school grounds. The drug epidemic is very problematic throughout our region. It is reassuring to know that Southwick has a dedicated and involved person at the tip of the spear to coordinate our efforts in town. After all, Officer Taggart is responsible for our children and staff from the time they arrive in the morning and leave in the afternoon to ensure that the schools are safe places for students to learn. He deserves the highest degree of respect. I invite Russ Anderson. Oh, sorry, we got that wrong again. Russ Fox. There's too many Andersons, too many Russes, too many, whatever. Sorry about that. We can do it together. Sorry about that.
I'll try using the mic, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to ad lib. Before I begin, I don't know if everybody heard what Ellen said when she started out. Last week, the town of Southwick was voted by Rita Rays the #1 community, town or city in the Pioneer Valley.
#1. And I think there was over 73,000 voters. So I think this community should all be very proud of that. And I think it is because of all the volunteers in our community. It was interesting. I sat down with Officer Taggart to get some background. So I'm going to do this, Mike, and if I mess up, I apologize, but here we go. Mike was born in Norwood, Massachusetts, and grew up in Medfield, Massachusetts, a community very similar to the town of Southwick. Mike, his mother, Martha, father, Victor, an older brother, John, and a sister, Amelia, who passed away at an early age. Mike had a very interesting, and I would say rewarding childhood. He did the usual activities, including playing soccer, but became active in his church youth group. This led Mike to volunteering to help with building in the Dominican Republic, helping with special needs students at his high school, and becoming a deacon in his church at the age of 14. Mike had always wanted to be a police officer, so he became a criminal justice major at Roger Williams in Rhode Island. And also very important is that this is where he met his future wife, Carly. During college, he interned with the Portsmouth, Rhode Island Police Department, and upon graduating was offered employment and would spend the next 4.5 years there. When his wife, a Ludlow native, was offered a teaching position in Ludlow's school system, a decision was made that this would be the place to raise their family. Mike was very fortunate to land a position in the town of Southwick Police Department, a position he has served in for 12 years as of October 1st of this year. Congratulations, Mike. In 2016, Mike applied to become Southwick's resource officer, and after taking over the role, immediately began to address the security concerns of the region's 3 school buildings. Working with school staff, he was able to address several areas, but soon realized the need for additional equipment and improvements to provide a safe environment for both students and staff. Mike began working with the region, Senator Hubinson, and Representative Boldiga, which over the past 3 years has brought in $125,000 to the school region for security improvements. Thank you. This has allowed our schools to add additional cameras, radios, go bags, and security enhancements for entering school buildings. Mike has also been involved working with the school and being proactive in addressing issues before they become major problems. Working with the school health department, civic classes, interacting with students, and even reaching out to younger kids by reading in classes at Woodland. Mike's actions has helped to improve the communications between our schools and the Southwick Police Department. These actions help to improve dealing with illegal drugs, behavioral issues, and very important, response times. Mike is a member of the School Safety Task Force, working with the state police and other resource officers, addressing an ever-changing number of challenges facing our students and staff. Mike is also working on security at both the Southwick Town Hall, the Southwick Public Library, and is helping to implement medical safety features at our DPW. The importance of a school resource officer cannot be questioned in the times we live in. Mike has dealt with numerous issues from safety at school to making sure a student is also safe in a home environment. Medical emergencies can happen at any time, and Mike was involved with a very serious one involving a staff member. The quick actions by Mike and others at the school helped to avoid a tragedy. Just recently, Mike had to deal with the worst, the murder of a Southwick student. The role of a resource officer is very complex and demanding position and requires a special officer. I would also like to add that Mike doesn't always stop after his shift is over. Like many of our Southwick officers, he goes that extra mile. An example will be the staff member that Mike helped save. Mike and another officer went to that individual's home and helped with yard work while that person was on the mend. Another example is a personal one to me. Mike was there to assist my daughter Julia when dealing with the notification of the death of a family member while she was at school. Knowing that Julia should not be driving while upset, Mike made sure her car was taken care of and Julia safely home. Thank you, Mike. As a member of the student assistant team, Mike is there to help students in a time of need. This is just one more important role that our resource officer fills in the school system. And when Mike goes home, to Ludlow, he's still working. His wife, Carly, will go over concerns of teachers, which gives him added insight on ways to do his job even better. Mike has other duties at home with sons Andrew 6 and Harrison 4. Now that they are older, Mike is finding out about volunteering at soccer practices. In Ludlow, soccer is king. So Mike has a long road ahead of him. Mike, if you were only Portuguese, you'd be coaching. To sum up, I believe we have been very fortunate as a town to have so many dedicated police officers in our department over the years. Officers willing to go beyond what the job calls for, and Officer Michael Taggart is a great example of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. In hearing everybody speak and seeing what everybody's done, I'm wondering, number one, why I'm up here, and number two, they did everything before I was born. I digress. Russ, you're not wrong. I walked on the field the first day of my son's soccer practice, and I was told by a gentleman that did not look Portuguese enough to be on that field. But one of the first things I do is all the veterans in the room, can you please stand up and be recognized? Veterans. My father's a Vietnam veteran, and a lot of us have seen some things, so I mean, a little respect would be deserved at this point. Mr. Fox said I started my career as volunteering with certain things, and I learned that from my parents and grandparents. Three things. If you're going to do something, do it right, do it well, and complete it. Surround yourself with good people, and humility. One of my favorite things is to help someone out and them not know it. I'm a firm believer in karma. I get most of the satisfaction from that. We had a member of our church, his wife passed away, and while she was sick in the hospital, we went by his house and I looked over and I was like, that's weird, his lawn was way too long. We might see a trend because we did that with our teacher here. But I went back and I said, I loaded up some tools from my dad's toolbox that would always go missing. Sorry. Trailer, and a lawnmower and everything else. And I went back and I parked across the street and went to start the weed whacker up, and he was driving out of his garage. I was like, busted. But he didn't notice me. He went the other way, went to the hospital, repaired everything that he needed repaired, mowed the lawn and left. And he called the church, said, hey, does anybody know who might have done this? And the secretary at the time was one of our family friends. She said, you might want to try that house. And so we called my mom. My mom goes, Michael. It was never Mike. And I knew I wasn't in trouble because it wasn't my middle name. And she goes, well, you know who mowed Mr. Ritchie's lawn? I said, that was me. And this man kept his lawn immaculate. We had soccer games at a park across the street. Everything was perfect. And he was so pleased. And just to be able to give him that level of appreciation and happiness for that one day after all the stuff he went through is what makes it worthwhile. So I met my wife, Carly. She's the reason, she actually deserves this more than I do. She puts up with me. She works just as hard. It's harder to stay home and deal with kids, as everybody knows, than it is to go to work. I get a break every day. So, but and she's my rock. She's been able to, give me a whole bunch of ideas for making the schools in Southwick a better place. And,
Thank you for that.
So I'm in between you and getting out of here. So one more short thing is, when I first came here, I took the time to get to know a lot of people because it did remind my hometown. And I'd go around and speak with some of the old timers that were retired police officers and stop at Salmon Brook and meet some of them, Walter and Dominic and all of them. And I found out everybody has a scanner. So, and that kind of burned me because that introduced me to Charlie Dunlap. Charlie Dunlap so eloquently handed me the phonetic alphabet. And I won't tell you what the note said that he handed on. So he doesn't like the word Newport for November. And when I returned from our honeymoon, I took the chance, and I know he'd be listening, and I stopped the car with the plates CD in it. And does anybody know what I use for CD? Charlie Dunlap. So he called me probably less than 30 seconds later. So, but again, I'd like to thank the Rotary. Ever since I've been here, you have all been involved in everything, making the town a better place. And I saw that from day one. The police department, everybody's great. We can't do this alone. Chief Rendell's of Granville, he was involved in the Granville schools when we still have that one, and he helps me out to this day. Chief Riccardi back there, he's the one that picked me. He didn't have to. Chief Bishop puts up with new stuff. So, as you know, I'm a very tenacious person, and I don't stop until I'm satisfied. I hope that shows everybody how much level of care that the police department has, because everybody has the same tenacity I do. Thank you.
Thank you, officer. We're going to have a picture here. Okay, where are my notes? First of all, I'd like to invite Russ Fox and Doug Moglen to come forward to present some awards. And I'd also like the recipients to come forward. Meaning, where's Susan? Alan? Okay, we got some awards. Where's Susan Fahansky? Who is she? So she's right here, okay. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Senator Humison and Representative Baldiga could not be with us tonight, but they asked me to present these official citations to each individual person. I'm just going to read one, and Mr. Moglen will help pass these out. Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Senate official citation. Be it known, the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations and recognition of your receiving Outstanding Vocational and Community Service Awards for 2019 for service above self. Signed, the President of the Senate, and offered by Senator Donald F. Humison, Jr. Congratulations. And the next is another citation, Commonwealth of Massachusetts House of Representatives citation. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to fill in the blank in recognition of receiving the 2019 Rotary Vocational and Community Service Award. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Signed, the Speaker of the House, offered by Representative Nicholas A. Baldiga. Congratulations. Ellen? Oh.
We still have some more certificates. Okay, I was like, you made a mistake, Mr. Fox. Okay, all right. We'll forgive you.
I'm being punished now, God will take over. It's an election year. As Ellen mentioned and Chairman Fox mentioned, Southwick's blessed. We were awarded the best place to live by Rita Raves, but most of the people in this room kind of already knew that. And I'm glad to have that validated. And I think one of the big reasons why this is such a great place to live and work, and I'm blessed that I'm able to live and work in this town, is folks like this and organizations like this that contribute and give back so much to the community. And while we were going through some of the nominations, and then again tonight as each of the recipients were introduced, I learned a whole bunch of new stuff about these fantastic people. I had heard some of the things about, well, and I'm privileged because I was involved in the nationwide search committee for our next fire chief. There was one Canadian in there. After a nationwide search, we hired the chief's brother, and I'm worried how that's going to play out, but just an awesome decision that the town made in that regard. Susan, I know we don't work very much together, but I've known what you do, I see what you do, I learned even more tonight. Fantastic. Alan, you and I have worked together for 5 or 6 years on the planning board prior to me changing roles here, and when I read your nomination and learned some of this stuff, I was amazed. And I know we used to kibitz back and forth about rec center basketball and the woes of coaching the team, but I had no idea. And Mike, you know, I know what you've done up there as the SRO and what you contribute to the Southwick Police Department, but I had, again, just fantastic to learn more and more about these people and what they give back to this town. And it's truly my honor and privilege to present each of you with a certificate, and I'm only going to read one, to thank each and one of you with a certificate of appreciation for as a recipient of the 2009 Vocational and Community Service Recognition granted by the Rotary Club of Southwick, and recognizing the contributions that you make on behalf of yourself and the organizations you represent or work for to the town and to the lucky people that live here and work here. So thank you very much, and Russ, you could help me out with this. I have Susan. Again, thank you. Before you do that, you did mention that Russ is a member of the greatest class, high school class in the town of Southwick, class of 1975.
Amen.
Is that true?
What were you doing in 75?
Yeah, what was I doing in 75?
While I get the microphone real quick, you're all talking about us, but I've had the privilege, or not so much privilege some days, of working for other towns. And coming back here, there's always talk of things. There's always, you don't know what you're getting into. But I have to say, whether I'm working with Alan or the police department or conservation or whatever, if I'm missing someone, it's not on purpose. Every department has been top shelf, professional. And while we don't agree some days, we move forward for the betterment of the community. And that is a privilege in my position to know that I can accomplish what I can accomplish because of you folks, whether it be all the selectmen, Carl, etc., department heads, have an open ear and an open mind to move forward for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. You can sit down now. Okay, we're kind of ending up our evening tonight. We have a 50-50 raffle, and Susan's going to pull the ticket. What do we have, $200? $200. The prize is $100, and hopefully Rotary makes $200. Hint, hint.
844-455.
Social Security number, yes. Okay, thank you very much. I have a few thank yous. Susan, for, I hope everybody got to see the slideshow. It's really nicely done, and Susan put it together, even though she's a recipient, but it's, something she's taken on for the last few years. It was great. So it's still going on. It's over here to the right. Thank Dennis Clark for poster design. Southwick Florists for the table flowers. Is that right, Russ? Okay, thank you. So they're up for grabs, right?
Alan, somebody has to take them home, and I'm not taking them home.
Okay, we're up for grabs. So at each table, you can take the vase away. I want to thank Tucker's for a great meal and a venue. And I want to thank Jack and his guitar for being so, gracious. And Steven Brzezinski for photography. He donated his time tonight to take the photos. Other than that, unless somebody else, sorry? Okay. Other than that, if anybody has anything else, please come forward. But I'm going to wish you everybody a very safe ride home. You're all welcome to congregate in the bar if you wish. And because this is a formal Rotary meeting, I'm going to call for a motion. Second? Done. Have a good year. We'll see you next year.